Olivia Florian, founder of vibrantlyvithlight.com, and back with my videos and my blog. And it feels like it's been a long time without talking to you, and it feels because I knew I was done with the form I was using, just using the oracle cards for sharing the teachings of them, and feeling called to communicate different things that comes from another place, and still playing with the cards, but wanting to go in a different depth. And the subject that the card that I've drawn today, that is calling for me to talk to you, is about self-love in a way, because the card is talking about seeing the true you, and so often we are relying on what others are reflecting to us, and as it is, it depends on the mirror. If the person receiving you has its own perception, interpretation, what is reflected back is at best distorted. So it really depends on who is reflecting back to you. Just like we see some of the light of the sun when we are observing the moon, but we are not really seeing the sun when we are getting the light reflected by the moon. We have some, but not whole. So you won't know really yourself fully through just reflection, and the invitation is to learn to see oneself in a compassionate way, see all of oneself. And it's a long journey, and from that point the reflection was, yeah, we can reflect from ourselves when we have developed enough self-love, self-compassion. Otherwise we will go through the filters of all the layers of shame and judgments and what we should be or not be. So for really reflecting what's true from us, it's craving a lot of self-love. And one thing I feel about the self-love is that, oh yes, everybody is talking about it, I've heard a lot about it, but what do we really mean? And I can remember a time where I could also feel like, well, I'm not hating myself, I'm not against myself. And yes, I understand from what I hear around me that somehow I can see the sign of not loving myself enough, because I cannot give myself what I need fully, and still I don't hear messages in me that feels that I'm blaming myself. And one key was for me to recognize how it's happening to me, because self-love is somehow the need to see through the stories, through the beliefs that we are looking at ourselves. So if we look through something that is distorting the light, that is smudged with judgments that we have integrated, we won't see the beauty of ourselves. If, for an example, if it's always been as you were growing up, that you've been reflected that you should know things, you should, that is things that there are things you are so ignorant and treated like, what? Don't you know that? And feeling the, how could I put that? This rejection of that, yes, this is one thing you haven't learned yet, and there is nothing wrong with that, but being in an environment that tells you again and again that, you should already know that, that's easy, then you can live in a world where you see the world through, oh, that should be easy. Why, it's quite easy if I look at the logic of this. I should already have been done. So if we look through this filter that simplifies from the mind, often from the rational side, then we look at life like, well, there is step 1, 2, and 3. What's the difficulty? You choose a person to call, you pick up your phone and ring and have the conversation, and then you discover that it doesn't happen that way, and then you can go into this judgment, and then wondering what's it's behind. And so the belief that things can look so easy, are really easy, why are they not done? So for me, one of the antidote to that was to remind myself that if there is something that looks like kind of easy, maybe they are more complex than what I can see, what my simplification of the world says. And I can be compassionate instead of beating myself of having not coming to that point. I can also see that, oh, that's the voice of this should be easy. This is the belief that this should be easy. And it's obviously not as easy if I tried and never came to the point of that. So that's one aspect of self-love. So what we reflect and how we look at ourselves. And that's really one of the part of the being more you, is whipping off all these beliefs, seeing them, discovering them, feeling them, and then realizing, oh, that's actually not how life is working. That's how I grew to believe, but that's not how it is. And I can look at it with a much more gentle way. So yes, self-love is not just thinking, oh, I don't think bad thoughts, but it's recognizing the stories of our thoughts, what they are, where they are coming from, and checking, are they really true, really what's true about life and me. So yeah, that was the inspiration from this card, that to see the true self is observing oneself directly, not only through the reflections. And of course there are also people able to see your beauty, able to reflect to you the wonders, and you, as me, be so grateful for any of those, but also learn to create this self-acceptance. Acceptance is such an important thing to us, so creating the self-acceptance, clearing our lens for looking at ourselves, is making the self-love bigger. and in this way find a way to support us to continue to find what's going on and take new steps. So yeah, more self-love, more awareness for being self-loving. That was my message for today, and I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you. Bye.